welcome wheelchair rugby fans across Canada and around the world, and of course a special welcome to fans from Brazil and France to the 2020 Paralympic Qualification Tournament being held here at the Richmond Olympic Oval in British Columbia, Canada. This game will feature Brazil, who are 0-3, France 3-0, and Tim Frick joined by Adam Frost. Frosty is a former player, national team athlete, won the World Championships as a player in 2002. Coached provincially, nationally, internationally, and now in charge of talent development for the entire country of Canada. Frosty, what should we expect in this first game today?
Well, obviously, as we move into day 3 of competition, the picture of how teams are going to finish are starting to become a little bit more clear. Expect France to come out very hard this morning and try and put Brazil out a little bit early. I think that we've determined if you can get to 4 wins, that guarantees you a spot in the top 4. And as you mentioned, France are 3-0, so I'm sure they're looking at this Brazilian team who've gone 0-3 and as an opportunity to put their stamp on that final day of play.
Well, Brazil really burst onto the scene in 2016 when they hosted the Paralympics, worked their way up to number 9 in the IWRF World Ranking. France number 6, but it's going to be a tall order for Brazil today.
Yeah, the way they've looked so far, I mean, I think that they've had some good moments, but as they rotate through their bench, they tend to make a few too many unforced errors, and that's getting them out of games early on.
All right, just getting set to go. The referees for today: Kristen Hempfling from Germany, Madison Little from the USA. Saligi from France getting set to take the tip against Wiertsma from Brazil. Saligi to Ivernat. Ivernat is one of the high scorers for the French team. Nice long pass deep for number 3, Cedric Mankin, and he'll score easily.
Yeah, nice outlet pass there. He was sort of trying to work in a phone booth. Good defense by the Brazilian high pointer.
Brazil now being pressured. One player up deep with the pressure. And Gonçalves gets away from Ivernat. That pass hit the wheels of the Brazilian player, picked up by Ivernat over the top to... that was picked up by Saligué over the top to Ivernat.
Yeah, I thought Brazil were in good shape there. Really, the ball carrier and the picker just had to work together to beat that one defender, and they weren't quite on the same page. And
well, the pass into the wheels never helps.
That never
really,
helps.
We see the equipment technician come out for Team France.
Good job by French on the transition here to keep the Brazilian number 1 out of the play and see if this Brazilian team can work together to advance the ball. Once again, not really using his pickers.
The pass over the top from Gonçalves, picked off by Ivernat, and he'll pass this time to Saligué, and we just saw that play in reverse.
Yeah, just being a little bit too individualistic at the moment, I think. You know, they were in good shape. They had a 3-on-2, lots of time to get over half, just kind of had to slow it down and allow his teammates to catch up and use them a little bit more effectively.
DeBrash getting ready to pass the ball and gets it to Gonçalves. DeBrash is the primary ball handler. Over the top to Weir. Oh, no, that's not Weir, that's Camargo. He coughs it up, and here comes Ivernat. He's looking for an opening and finds it. So France off to a rather quick lead here, a bit of momentum, 3-0, 6:44 in.
Yeah, and great job by the French defense. They're getting effective transitions, they're getting the looks they want, and as we've pointed out already, the Brazilians need to get on the same page when they're trying to get that ball up the court and over half.
Take a moment to thank some of our sponsors, our sport organization sponsors, BC Wheelchair Sports Association, Wheelchair Rugby Canada, and the International Wheelchair Rugby Federation. Our government sponsors, the province of BC and the government of Canada, of course, Sport Canada, Richmond Sport Hosting, and the Richmond Olympic Oval, and you can get a nice little picture of that beautiful roof here, those lovely arches made out of the pine beetle spruce.
And quickly, as we get back into play here, we'll just mention a very big game in the standings happening over on Court 2 between Germany and Colombia. Battle of teams who are 2-1 and 1-2, and I'm sure have aspirations of playing on Sunday.
Gonçalves gets free this time, left side, long pass over the top to Camargo, and he scores, putting Brazil on the scoreboard.
Yeah,
so
much better.
Good timeout.
Yeah, good timeout. Much better job of flowing up the court that time and moving the ball effectively.
And thanks also to Vesco, the makers of rugby chairs and day chairs. The rugby chairs, a lot of athletes here are sponsored by Vesco. Moulton, of course, the official wheelchair rugby ball, as well as the ball of many Olympic and Paralympic sports. House Lager, Marriott Vancouver Airport Hotel, and the Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel. Great hosts. Full court pressure now by Brazil. Here comes Saligué. Saligué kind of wide open here, taking a look back, letting his team get set up for their transition. They're trying to trap DeBroche.
Yeah, you can see how the French team is just a little bit more patient with the ball after they get it and allow their pickers to get out in front of them, and makes it an easy lane for them to wheel up and score.
Camargo that time with a nice pick to free Gonçalves. He gets the ball up to DeBroche. Another pick from Wiertsma. DeBroche having trouble getting into the attacking zone. And we've got a penalty, I believe.
Yeah, nice moving screen or crack block by the Brazilian squad to force the French player to land on his lap and put him in the penalty box.
I like that call. It's a nice, easy one to make, and an easy one to kind of figure out when you land on somebody's lap. It's a penalty regardless, as we see Saligué being put back into playing position as the beautiful floors here are protected by those mats.
You'll often see teams on defense, when the other opposite team is scoring a breakaway goal, turn and look to hit somebody just to see if they can bring them out of their chair to create that turnover, because you're not going to catch the guy on a breakaway goal.
And do you practice that in practice, Frosty?
I would say that you would practice that during deliberate scrimmage.
Very good. So Gonçalves on the power play will score. Saligué has to declare inbounder as he's trapped in the penalty box, so that'll give Brazil a bit of a lift here, as one of their primary receivers has to pass the ball in. Iverna now turns away from DeBroche. Nice little dipsy doodle move. Using Le Guin as a screen. DeBroche recovers nicely though. Again, this time Le Guin's screen is more successful. Saligué will use Iverna. I can't remember if he bounced that ball in that sequence at all, but maybe he did.
So you can see that was a reasonably effective defensive look for the Brazilian team. It was hard work for the French team to get over half. They're playing a double, single, single. If they could have been a little bit tighter on their double before the ball came in, that had a lot of potential.
There goes Gonçalves right side, and he'll score, but somehow one of the Brazilian players ends up on the floor. I think he just put himself over when he made a sharp turn.
Yeah, I think I didn't see whether he just put himself out turning or rode up on one of the other players' wheels. Nonetheless, up and ready to go.
So take a look at Gonçalves squeaking in just inside the goalpost with those two wheels across the line. Here comes Iverna now for Team France. Looking for some opening. Nice pick by Nankin. Pass over top to Saligué. Picked off by Gonçalves. A little bit of a spark for Brazil now. Gonçalves up to DeBroche. Back to Gonçalves. Nice give and go and a flat tire out on the court.
Yeah, once again, a good look for the Brazilian defenders. Forced the ball carrier kind of into that corner where you knew he was going to have to pass, and retreated and got into passing lane. So good job by them.
Iverna gets a new wheel. I'd like to have a nickel for every tire that's being changed by the equipment team here in the tournament. have enough to go to stay at the Sheraton and the Marriott for a couple of weeks, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right.
Here comes Iverna now, 3-on-2. France down to a 2-on-2. Camargo will force Iverna to score so that they can get the ball back quickly. Ball into Gonsalves. He's trapped deep in his own zone. Gets away though, and a nice pick from Wiertsma. Up to DeBroche. DeBroche had the position on Iverna and scores easily.
Yeah, nice job by the Brazilian offensive press break there to recognize when to move the ball. Good pass.
Now Brazil with some full court pressure. Nice little give and go on the, well, not really a give and go, but that pass behind Iverna. He picks it up. He's going to be pushed towards the center line. Manages to escape by rotating backwards, and there he goes, straight into the goal, left side. 4 minutes to go, Frosty, and the score is 8-5 France.
Yeah, well, after a very quick start by the French team, the Brazilians have settled down a bit and keeping themselves in this game rather than letting it get too far away.
Gonsalves there with a double spinorama. Gets the ball up to Camargo, and he'll take his time crossing the line. Brazil within 2. That's a pick for Camargo to get him free. Full court pressure, not very effective. Ball in easily to Iverna. Here comes France. A brief 4-on-3. Iverna runs into Gonsalves. Pulls it back out. French will run their half-court offense. Brazil set up outside the key. Iverna on the motion. That gap on the left side caused by those two players coming across, Frosty, very clever.
Yeah, nice job there by the French to attack the key.
Nice pass over the top to Gonsalves. He's got DeBroche. DeBroche has got some room. Nankin tries to stop him, but to no avail. You know, the denial defense works great if you pick the pass off, but if not, you're in trouble.
Well, I mean, it's key for the Brazilian 3-5 to not get tied up by those two defenders because they'll be in a lot of trouble, and were in a lot of trouble when he was.
Well, Saligi cannot get over center. Great defense by Brazil, forced to call the timeout.
Yeah, and same point with the French team. The Brazilian 3 and 4 tied up the French number 1, and the remainder of the French players weren't able to beat the number 1 and number 2 Brazilian defenders.
So Frosty, explain to the folks at home your use of the 1-2-3-4. You're not referring to the classification.
No, because there's no positions like left wing, right wing, center in wheelchair rugby. We refer to positions on the court as 1, 2, 3, 4. And in general, number 1 is the person that you want carrying the ball most of the time. Number 4 is the one that you generally want carrying the ball the least amount of time. And 2 and 3 are obviously interchangeable, and depending on classification and other factors.
And the type of chair they have and the role they play, of course. There's Nankin now over the top. Dishes to Iverna. He's hit hard. Spins out of it backwards. He's trapped now, though. DeBroche and Camargo. Spins away from Camargo. Got a little bit of room. Nice pick by Nankin.
Yeah, that was
just a bit late.
Yeah, nice job by Brazilian defense. I think that they really wanted to just make sure they kept that double on the ball carrier until he moved the ball, because if you break off of him early, he's just going to put the ball back on his lap and push.
Well, Gonsalves now. Got a bit of space left side. Tracked down by Iverna, but wins the race barely to sneak inside the left post. 10-8 now with 2.5 minutes to go first quarter.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, the Brazilian squad has settled in after a pretty rough start. And so far, this is a very entertaining game, I think.
Ball into Saligi. Back to Iverna. He gets over center, slows up a bit, waits for his teammates to join the attack. Some space out there for Iverna, and he takes advantage of it. Nankin doing a good job of running interference, good moving screens, and potential blocks.
Yeah, nice job there.
Here comes Gonsalves now, deep in his own zone. He's having a little bit of difficulty getting out, so DeBrosh not free.
Yeah, so once again to emphasize, your number one gets tied up by the 3 and 4, and if the pickers and the ball carrier aren't working effectively together, it can be tricky.
Well, Frosty, I didn't quite understand that call.
I think they gave Brazil timeout. I'm not sure why the French team were complaining about it. Maybe he called timeout early and the referee never heard it and blew her whistle fast enough. That's a guess. I don't know for sure.
Now we see he's trapped deep in his own zone. He makes the signal. And I'm not sure what the French player is arguing about, but not much use arguing with referees. The referees here this week have been absolutely outstanding. And
yeah, not very often do you win the battle with a referee. That's going to be...
Oh, nice tip pass up ahead to Camargo. Good grab. And in he goes. What a broken play, and Brazil makes the best of it.
Yeah, put themselves in a position where they had to make a play, and they did. Really nice to see.
France now, Iverna. He's got nowhere to go. Double, down deep. He's going to call the timeout, so Brazil returns the favor with that full court pressure.
Yeah, very effective defensive look there by Brazilians. Once again, force that player into a corner where you know he's going to have to pass and take away the passing lanes. And
it's one of the signs of momentum, Frosty, in my opinion anyway, is how many on-court timeouts you have left. And surprisingly, usually the team that's winning doesn't use very many. However, in this case, France has used 2, Brazil only 1, yet France is still winning 11-9 with a minute 44 left in the first quarter.
Yeah, and it's a great point by you, and see if the Brazilians can keep up this pressure and force the French team to use even more of their timeouts.
This time, Iverna's got a little bit of room, gets by Gonsalves, past Camargo. He's 2-on-1 now with Verdun, who's into the game for France, and he keeps the ball and scores the try himself. Verdun and McGuinn into the game for France, joining Nankin and Iverna. Here comes DeBrosh. A fixture for Brazil. He's got some room right side, and away he goes. Dribbles just to make sure, and Brazil back within 2.
Nice inbound by the Brazilian 1-5, class 1-5 there, showing some decent range.
Iverna now, left side, tracked down by Gonsalves. Nice pick by Nankin, and by Verdun. The old double screen right there. The stagger screen. Let's call it the stagger screen.
Okay, sir.
We got to get the hammer screen in there somewhere now too. Here comes DeBrosh. He's tracked down by Iverna. Pushed backwards. Bit of trouble. And forced to call the timeout.
Yeah, both Brazilian low pointers were transitioned by the French, number 3 and number 4, so it was 1 and 2 versus 1 and 2. Generally, when you're in that situation, you want to crisscross to try and create a 2-on-1, and the Brazilian team tried that first try, but probably should have given it a second go, but ended up working a little bit individually, I thought.
You know, I always used to think in terms of probability, Frosty, if it's an 80% chance that it'll work the first time, then if you do it again, your odds are now 64, and if you do it again, your odds are better than half. So the more you cross, the more opportunity the other team has to make a mistake.
Yep, that's a good way of looking at it.
Gonsalves over the top, picked off by Nankin, and that's what happens when you get a little bit desperate to get the ball over center. Back comes Verdun up to Iverna. He'll take a look and see what his team is doing in terms of setting up for transition and Across the line, 37 seconds, Frosty, 14-10. A little bit of an extended lead now on the strength of that turnover.
Yeah, well, it is the Brazilian ball to start the next quarter, so if they can get over half here and score the goal, there it is. Oh,
Frosty. I saw Gonsalves open as well, and luckily so did Camargo.
I thought the ball was going to the other athlete, and he just kind of...
It was a heads-up play by Camargo on the right side to recognize that he was not the primary threat there. As you can see right here, he looks up right away and boom. Over the top to Gonsalves. Nice pass too, nice lead pass.
Small victory for the French team though there, because now they have the ball with the opportunity to score last goal themselves.
Here comes Ivanov up to Verdun. He'll take some time now as we've got down to 10 seconds now on the game clock. Verdun all alone, and he'll give Team Brazil a scant 1.7 seconds with which to score. And we saw yesterday, I believe it was Team Canada, was it, that scored with 1.6 seconds left? Or was it Sweden?
I know that Sweden did
scored.
it, yeah.
It was Sweden that scored with 1.6 seconds left. So at the end of the first quarter, it is France 15, Brazil 11. We'll take a look at some of the standings so far. As we mentioned earlier, France 3-0. Canada also 3-0. Sweden sitting at 1-2. Switzerland 1-3 because they've had 4 games. Germany 2-1. Colombia 1-2, and Brazil at 0-3. Top 4 get into a qualification playoff. First plays 4th, and second plays 3rd. Canada and France hoping to stay on top. In terms of schedules, Frosty, on the other court we've got Germany and Colombia. It looks like a tight game over there.
Well,
we'll get an update from you if you can.
I can see the score is 15-13, but I can't quite make out which flags are on each side of the scoreboard. And
so we'll sort that out for you later, folks. Canada plays Sweden on cbcsports.ca at noon. Switzerland against France at 4 o'clock, and Canada again versus Germany 6 o'clock. And the Canadian Paralympic Committee Facebook page will carry all those games live. They also have enhanced coverage around the games involving Team Canada in particular, as Benoit Huot, our Canadian Paralympic Committee media mogul, former Paralympic swimmer and world champion, will be bringing you some interviews and some in-depth coverage of some of the behind-the-scenes action here at the Paralympic Qualification Tournament. Yesterday we saw the teams, Frosty, real keen to get out there. You know, today the Brazilians seem keen. Looks like they're going to make a wholesale change with their squad.
Yeah, so I mean the French are up by 4 and should be happy with that. But I did see a little bit of frustration coming out of some of the French players. We saw it with that timeout call and a little bit of attitude towards the end of the quarter there. So I'm not quite sure what it is that's going on that's causing that, but good for the Brazilian squad for maybe trying to get them off their game a bit. Unfortunately,
Ferreira throws that ball to in the vicinity of Giurato, number 12, and unable to even. I don't think Giurato even reached for it. It was so far over top.
Yeah,
so
that looked to be
a rough start there for Brazil.
About a 15-foot pass with not a lot of pressure. You know, just unfortunately missed it.
Here comes Ivanov. France not backing down here at all. Ferreira kind of takes a small run at him just to say, you know what, I'm here. Ivanov will wait till the transition is set up for defense by France. And Brazil really struggling to establish position here.
French team obviously taking lots of time off the clock there. Like you pointed out, it looked like they were trying to get a defensive transition, but then maybe just having a rest.
Ferreira with the inbounds reception. Giurato with a pick. Ferreira is looking for some space. has none at all, and Brazil is bottled up in their own end. Great defense by Team France.
Yeah, looking for the crack blocks there, but when you have 2 mid-pointers battling 2 high-pointers, if you don't hit it in the right spot, they're going to get on top of you and be able to defend you on those one-on-ones.
So in terms of qualification, Frosty, as we mentioned earlier, the first place team here on Sunday will play the 4th place team. Second will play 3rd. The winners of those 2 games join Australia, New Zealand, Japan, USA, Great Britain, and Denmark in Tokyo in August.
Yeah, it's looking forward to it. It should be a great competition, and good luck to all the teams that are already qualified.
And Brazil really frustrated here as number 8 Hoffman just kind of tosses the ball across court. And Gierato coming over to the bench talking to the coach.
Yeah, there's a little
trying
bit
to
of
get some direction. Ferreira will inbounds. He's doubled. D'Souza all alone deep in the court. And that's a tough one when you're dead center in the middle of the court, Frosty. Like, is that a coaching tip or no?
Well, I mean, he probably should have been a little bit further away from us and moving to get onto that ball. It wasn't a poorly thrown ball, a decent weight and right down the middle of the gym. Just it's what happens when you don't give your
good
angles. Yeah.
Even France just scoring a will here.
Yeah, this line, but for the Brazilian
very,
team.
very, very discouraging for Team Brazil. Down 18-11 now, just like that.
Yeah, they're getting outmatched quite significantly.
Gierato trying to get free. Nice pick by Ferreira. This time Gierato, at least he gets halfway to center, but gosh, he in frustration puts the ball down, spins it on the ground, comes over to the bench, and we're going to see what this coach Ram Krapash can come up with.
Well, the only way that they're losing the one-on-one battle, so the only way they're going to find some success is if they're able to find an effective transition to give them some matchups that will work in their favor.
So far, the French with the speed and height advantage in most of the positions, really.
Yeah.
So here comes Brazil. They'll try it again, this time from mid-court on the sidelines. At least they're almost halfway there, but boy, oh boy, they pass it back deep into their own zone, and you got to go a long way to get to center. Hard pass to Gierato. Couple of picks, he won't get across, and that'll be a 12-second count. And, you know, as a coach, Frosty, you're kind of hanging your players out to dry here a little bit.
Yeah, yes, they are. It's you know, but great job by the French defense when your number 3 at 1-5 can manage a 2-5 like he did in that situation. It's just going to pay dividends for the rest of your teammates.
Well, there is a likelihood here of a 2 or 3-way tie for one of the playoff positions. So tries for and against really critical, and that time Gierato had some space. Ferreira was open, but he hit him in the wheels with the pass.
Yeah, I think that we decided this morning that you could theoretically have 3 wins and get into the qualification games. And if Brazil drops this game, that will take them to 0-4 and pretty much put them out of contention.
However, they could play the spoiler, so that's why that's why everyone plays everyone.
Yeah.
You got to prove your worth. Ferreira now held by Nankin. Little cross pick from number 8 Hoffman. Ferreira had some space but ran into his own man Gierato. Pass up to Hoffman. Over the top to Gierato. Just about lost control, but now he's looking for a teammate to get open. He had Ferreira, but elects to go far side. Now Ferreira gets it back from Hoffman, and nice give and go. 3-way give and go really by the Brazilian team that time. Moved the ball quickly and effectively. Yeah,
well, obviously got the ball over half and scored their first goal of this for this lineup, and but still it was a struggle. So
5:20 it took, or 2 240. Got to do the math on that.
That's right.
A little bit of pressure on me that time, folks. And Verdun will cross the try line for France. 21-12 now, 5:10 to go second quarter. Giordano deep in his own zone. Ferrero springs free but can't get open. Now he does. He's hit hard at center. Nice play by Ivernat to force the over and back.
Yeah, really nice job by the French defender there to attack at the right time. And once again, awareness of where you are on the court. You got to try and make a play and not have your wheelchair cross the line, because you're never going to get all four wheels across and catch that ball. So
Le Guin into the game for France to Saligi. Ivernat getting a well-deserved rest. Verdun with a nice pick. Saligi over to Verdun on the roll, and he'll score.
yeah, so the Brazilian team coming back to their starting lineup, which did have some success in the first quarter, and see if they can claw their way back into this game. But down by 10 now, it's going to be difficult.
A couple of spin moves by Gonçalves. He's got some space now. Goes behind Saligi and now cuts in front as he attacked the back of Saligi's chair.
Yeah, a little bit more effective crack block there run by the Brazilian squad. It's helpful when your one-on-one matchups are a little bit more even, as they are now.
Brazil with some full court pressure. Saligi is trapped in his own zone there. They let him go, though. I can hear your frustration.
Well, you know, you really got to force the ball out of his hands before you leave him, because the player at the back leaves.
I mean, he was nicely trapped in the corner. Yeah. He had the end line, the sideline, and two players.
Yeah.
He would have been forced to give it up.
And looking the wrong way. So.
Gonçalves now up to Camargo. That's stolen by Nankin. He has trouble corralling the ball. Finally does. Gets it to Verdun. Brazil hustling back on defense. 2-on-2. Nice move by Verdun to beat Gonçalves and uses Saligi as a decoy. Good defense by Cedric Nankin. And he hits Gonçalves up to DeBrash. Camargo now. He'll protect the ball and spin away from the long arms of Saligi. Gonçalves left side now looking for some space, really in a crowd, and somehow he slips through. I don't know how the French team let him through. There was not much room at all.
No, well, the 8 players between the sidelines and us, so it's hard to see how much space there was, but obviously enough to wheel through there.
Well, it was quite a bit, actually, as we saw in the replay, so well done by Gonçalves. Saligi back in his own zone, got some space now. Gathering steam as he heads down the right side. Tracked down by Camargo, though.
Yeah, nice speed by the 1-5 there, and good angles. Able to get in front.
France now in the half-court offense. Brazil extended a little bit. There's some space now, and Verdun finds it and receives the pass to score. Gonçalves spins around, looks for some room. He's got some left side again. He likes that side, but this time he is cut off by Nankin. And I'm not quite sure what the call was. Did he try to call a timeout or not?
I think they gave him a timeout. Looked like it.
Looks like Brazil setting up on defense here, so I believe that was out of bounds.
Must have gone out of bounds, yeah.
He wasn't quick enough in the timeout call.
I see that we're out of timeouts as I look up at the scoreboard, so
all if else he fails, read the directions. Saligi with the ball. That long reach, no one can get to him. Here comes Verdun. He's a big guy too. Goes around Camargo on the outside. Tracked down by DeBrash though. Hit by Gonçalves. Nice pick by Chalmin. He's into the game for the first time for France. Alongside Thierry. We saw lots of Thierry earlier in the tournament. This is his first appearance today. Saligi. Looking for room. It's 2-on-3. France setting up already for their transition. Talk about confidence in your 1 and 2 positional players there going 2-on-3.
Well, you know, you talk about things that we practice, and running 2-on-3 versus the key is definitely one of them.
Brazil springs free regardless as Gonçalves gets it up to Camargo. It's now 26-15, just over 2 minutes left, second quarter here. Quite sure what they're doing trap-wise. They do have Salagui trapped. Forced the pass to Verdun. Gets it back though. Here comes a hit by Camargo. Wow. You could hear that one in downtown Richmond. Ball bounces ahead and number 7, Thierry, not able to catch up with it.
Yeah, an effective hit by the Brazilian defender there to force probably a little bit harder pass than they wanted, and the French low pointer unable to track it down.
Pass into De Broche. He's tracked down by Verdun. Gonçalves with him. A little 2-on-2 action. Gonçalves going to try to do it all alone, and he does, as Verdun kind of lost his balance there a little bit, went up on one wheel, and De Broche just powered right through.
Yeah.
It looks like we've got a couple of chairs tied up here in the back court. You know, those defensive chairs are wonderful for covering a lot of ground, but they do every now and again tend to get caught up with each other or in someone's wheels.
Yeah, that didn't look like they were going to get themselves free without some outside assistance.
Out of that transition, the French can't get into their press break position, but now they do. So Chamin gets it into Salagui. He's gathering speed. Goes to the right side. Nice little moving screen by Thierry. Brazil quickly back into the play. Gonçalves spins away from his check. He's got Camargo wide open right side. Can he get there? Yes, he does. He's hit though by Verdun. The ball pops loose. It'll remain Brazil ball.
Yeah, unlucky bounce for the French there. Really nice job by the French defender to track that down and almost intercept the play.
So Brazil at minute 28 to go, down 27-16 at this point, will run their half-court attack, their set plays. We'll see what it looks like. Here comes De Broche now, a couple of cross screens, actually 3 cross screens. It looks like space on the far side. Ball into Gonçalves. Nice little backdoor pick by Wiersma.
Yeah,
nice space there.
Yeah, nice attack by the Brazilian team there to draw the French players away from that cone, and then you wrap around your low pointer. And well executed pass.
Back comes Salagui to Verdun. He's hit hard, being forced towards center. Gets it rid of the ball to Salagui.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Brazilian squad there. That was a nice look on defense, and well played by the French team to hit the open player over half.
Well, when you're passing the ball with 1 or 2 hands, that means 1 or 2 of those hands aren't on the chair to stop yourself from being pushed backwards. And Verdun, good job that time getting rid of the ball.
Yeah.
Camargo sees Wiersma. Wiersma will take his time as the clock winds down. He protects the ball. He's being harassed by those long arms of Team France, and we don't see that call too often, Frosty, the 10-second call.
Yeah, well, you know, you talked about percentages either on, so the French there were playing the percentages are of the 0.5 gets the ball. He's going to struggle to dribble and pass given his function, and resulted in a turnover.
Well, there was no floor available because he was completely surrounded by both teams. Here comes Verdun now. He takes a look at the clock, finds Camargo, who unfortunately is not on his team, and Brazil catches a break.
Yeah, bit of a mistake there by the French team.
Camargo very happy to cross the line with about 4 seconds left to give Brazil a bit of a boost now, down by 10, 28-18. Long pass goes out of bounds, and that'll do it for the first half of play here in our first game of the day. Day 3, I think it is today, Brazil and France. France with a rather commanding 28-18 lead over Team Brazil. And Frosty, I'll get you to break things down in a moment, but first of all, let's talk a little bit about our sponsors. BC Wheelchair Sports Association, the Wheelchair Rugby Canada, International Wheelchair Rugby Federation, our government sponsors, of course, Province of BC, the Government of Canada, Sport Canada, Richmond Sport Hosting, who have hosted numerous wheelchair rugby events over the past 10 plus years. Most of them, if not all, here at the Richmond Olympic Oval. What an architectural marvel that is. And you're getting a shot of the roof here. It's made out of that pine beetle wood. It has that blue tinge to it. It comes from the interior of British Columbia. Beautiful arches, and then can't even describe the ripple effect of the wood and the roof to absorb the sound and provide some warmth here, because it was the skating oval for the Olympics. Yes. And also thank Vesco, our wheelchair sponsor, Molten, the ball sponsor, House Lager. And if you're in the Vancouver area or the Lower Mainland area, or even if you're in Victoria, get on the ferry, come on over to the beer garden and try some House Lager. Marriott Vancouver Airport Hotel and the Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel. And Frosty, what's your analysis of that first half, and what's going to have to change now going into the second half?
Well, I mean, I think that if I look at it from the Brazilian perspective, the positives I would take out of that half are my top line were able to run with the French top line, create turnovers and score goals. They just weren't quite consistent enough, and they got off to a bit of a slow start. So I think that's a positive for the Brazilian team. Obviously, they started the second quarter with a different lineup, and that line struggled. So, but moving forward into other tournaments and other games, you know that you have a line that you can put out there that can run with one of the best lines of the tournament. And I think from the French side, I think just the athletic abilities and the skill level of the French team is just a little bit more advanced than the Brazilian squad, and that's obviously slowly started to show over the time in the first half as they've opened up a 10-goal lead here.
Well, it was a 4-goal or a 4-try lead at the quarter break. I believe the Brazilian first line, when they came back on, pretty well broke even with the French, if not gained a try or two. So well done by that first line to show that they can play with the big dogs, as you mentioned. But Brazilian second line really struggled. We just saw that pass into the wheels there that time.
Yeah. So
they did score a few tries, but they were few and far between.
Yeah, none of them were easy. And you know, if you're scoring once and turning the ball over 8 times, that's just not going to cut it at a Paralympic qualifier.
And speaking of qualifying, Frosty, we have 7 teams here. Thailand couldn't make it, so instead of 2 pools of 4, we have a complete 7-team round robin. So as you say, there's nowhere to hide in this one. You got to play everybody. The top 4 will make a qualification playoff on Sunday. First will play 4th, second will play 3rd, and those 2 winners will get their passports renewed and check all their travel documents, because they're going to Tokyo to join Australia, New Zealand, Japan, USA, Great Britain, and Denmark.
You know, and I think this format has really shown that Canada and France is a step above most of these other teams. But then there's real parity between, say, the next level of teams, and I think that's evident in the standings right now, with teams being at 1 and 2 and 2 and 1, and really anybody could come out of that and still get into those games on Sunday.
That's right. Canada and France sitting at a perfect 3-0. Brazil struggling a bit, 0-3 so far, and if things keep going the way they are, they'll end up 0-4 after this game. But in between, it's anyone's game, really. So Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, Colombia, those 4 teams will be really fighting hard for that 3rd and 4th playoff position. And of course, wanting to end the tournament on a high note. Also take a note of, we have a look at the plus minuses as well. You look at Canada, plus 64. So they've been beating teams by healthy margins. France not far behind at plus 54. The Germans, 2 wins and a loss, are minus 14. We are back to the live action here in the third quarter. Ivanov for France finds a bit of space, right side. Nice cross pick by Salagui. And the lead extended, 29-18 now for France. Brazil with the young guns in the lineup. Number 7, De Lima. Number 6, Souza. They're bottled up in their own zone. Pass up to Wiersma by De Lima. That goes a bit wide. And Frosty's back with an update on the Germany-Colombia game.
Definitely Germany that's up by 2 at halftime now. So 29-27 is the score.
Well, that's an exciting matchup, and we'll watch that one closely. Here comes Saligi. Over the top to Iverna. Despite being hit by De Lima. We talked about De Lima a lot in the last couple of games. He's a real spark plug for this Brazilian team.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we're not seeing him a little bit earlier in the game to try to give his team a spark. But I'm sure as Brazil comes to more tournaments, we'll see him on the court more and more.
Hoffman gets it to Souza. He passes over the top back to Hoffman. And that ball was tipped by number 7, Thierry, for France, but Hoffman, I should say, manages to gather it in at the try line and score. There's a pass way over the top by Iverna. He's hit by De Lima, picked off by Souza. Back comes Brazil. A little bit of spark here. Here comes Souza. He's got a lot of room, and De Lima just a one-man wrecking crew out there, setting picks and blocks everywhere.
Yeah, effective defense by the Brazilian team there. Had the number 2 tied up in the corner and forced a bit of an errant pass there through by the French number 1.
Brazil a bit slow setting up on transition there for defense, allowing Salagui to score quite easily, and I think he was a bit surprised he was so wide open.
Yeah, Brazil's pretty well denied here. See if they can get the ball in.
Hoffman into Souza. That ball's knocked away, grabbed by Saligi. And that's a long, tough pass for Hoffman to make.
Yeah, you need to have a little bit more patience to allow your players to get into better position before you put the ball in there, I would have to say.
Run the baseline up to Souza. He's hit by number 7, Thierry. The other number 7, De Lima, spins away from 2 French players. He's got room right side. Tracked down by Iverna, though. He's going to be forced backwards, almost an over and back. Passes the ball up and out of bounds. Well, the French player was actually out of bounds when he touched the ball. Brazil catches a break.
Bit of a break. I thought that was actually effective play by Brazil. The Brazilian high pointer was just a little bit slow to move that ball. Perhaps wasn't aware that his teammate was wide open down the court, and maybe that's why we're seeing him in the second quarter or second half when the game's out of reach.
A little bit of a referee discussion here to figure out how much time is left on the possession clock, as France will set up back on the edge of their key. 2 players in the key, 2 players just above the key. You can sort of see the black rectangular markings there. Brazil with their set play attack. Here comes Souza. Thought he saw a hole, it closed. And this time Hoffman able to back in across the line, and that's an effective play for Rafael Hoffman, number 8 of Brazil.
So what happened there was after the French player tried to stop the goal, he was transitioned really quickly by the Brazilian team, and he left the court to wheel around all the athletes and came back on, which is an advantage that you're not allowed to take in wheelchair rugby. So turnover, Brazilian ball.
Clever, but illegal.
Clever, but illegal.
Here comes Souza now, finds an opening left side. Nice little seal there by De Lima as he kind of jammed up against Thierry's chair.
Contact before the whistle call by the referee on Brazil, I believe. They were aggressive on their transition, but gained an advantage through contact, which is a no-no.
So that's a warning. Next time, will it be a penalty?
Yeah, so next time it's a violation, and if you're on offense, it's a turnover, and on defense, you spend a minute in the bin, if you know what I mean.
Here comes Ivernaw now. Raphael Hoffman with a attempted hit, just glanced off Ivernaw, and he's able to score right side. 5:33 to go, third quarter, 33-22. The French extending their lead to 11. Here comes Souza now. Thought about passing to DeLima, instead bounces, keeps the ball. DeLima's open. Souza trapped. He's in a bit of trouble. Finally gets it to DeLima. Some room on the court though, as the French defense has extended. Hoffman reels that one in. Over the top to Souza, and that ball will go out of the reach of Souza, and it'll be French ball.
Yeah, still had plenty of time on the shot clock there. Probably rushed that pass a little bit more than he wanted to.
A nice hit from behind by Thierry, though, to sort of add a bit of oomph to that pass.
Yeah.
So Le Guin gets it into Saligi. Here comes Ivernaw now. He's got some room going one-on-one with DeLima. Thierry with the pick. Or is that Valentin? I can't tell. That's Valentin. Sorry. And that was Valentin that made the good play down there.
Yeah.
Apparently the French 1 on the uniform looks like a 7 to me.
It does look a bit like a 7. I see what you mean.
Now DeLima tosses the ball over half to avoid the violation, but nobody on his own team there, and back comes number 10 for Team France, Morel, into the game. Gets it up to Valentin, and he'll score easily, the class 2. So the lead extended now to 13, Frosty, 4:29 left.
Yeah, well, that's the cost of being out of timeouts. You've got to get the ball over half, and if there's nobody there, there's nobody there.
Here comes Hoffman. He's got a bit of space. DeLima's open. He's hit by 2 players, I think. Both French players kind of hit each other rather than Hoffman. Hoffman's trapped. Gets the ball back to DeLima. They're a long way from the goal or the try line, but there's some space out there. DeLima makes a nice move, and he's going to beat Ivernaw one-on-one. Ivernaw tries to push him into the post, but runs out of space.
Nice aggressive play by both players, I thought.
Lehman, a 4-wheel drift across the line that time. Reaches in, lucky not to pick up the penalty on that one. Nice pick by Le Guin to take DeLima out of the play, and Ivernaw will have an easy time of it. Morel bumping Hoffman. A little bit of gamesmanship going on between those two for a moment. Pass is tipped by Le Guin into the hands of Ivernaw, and he'll score easily. So this lineup for Brazil really struggling just to get the ball in bounds, and that's really the first phase of your attack, is getting it in safely. And
yeah.
the second phase is getting it over center, and the third phase you're going to score. So Brazil not even get past step 1 here in this particular lineup. The French not letting their foot off the gas at all, as you mentioned earlier. Souza now gets that ball over top to Hoffman. Nice pick by Wiersma. Hoffman's got room on the left side. He's got DeLima with him. Instead, he passes across. Didn't see Morel coming, and Morel with a nice little interception.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And
DeLima makes him pay, though.
Yeah, nice hustle by the French team to get back into that passing lane and intercept the ball. It sort of telegraphed that he was going to pass it there a little bit, I thought.
So France will get their transition set up while Ivernaw waits for some time to run down on the possession clock. The object of their affection is number 8, Raphael Hoffman, who frees himself and works his way back into the play, and he'll be the inbounder. So nice job by Brazil to get what they wanted out of the deal. Souza. He's doubled. Wiersma with a nice little pick. Suzma with some room on the left side. He's got DeLima with him. He's going to take it himself, though, as no French player could catch him once he got going.
Yep.
Good burst of speed by the Brazilian Class 2. The French team deep in their own zone. A little head fake by Salige. He finds Morel. Morel tracked down by DeLima. Hands off to Ivernat. Nowhere to go. Cuts back. Right side. Now there's lots of space. Souza will make a token effort at mentioning his presence. Ivernat scores quite easily there. DeLima now with the ball. He's got a little bit of spark in him now. Look to get the tapped in the corner. He's going to have to get rid of the ball. Using his elbows to hold the chair from moving. Nice move to get the ball to Souza. Right away, Souza up to Hoffman. Good play by Team Brazil.
Yeah, obviously we got into a bit of a dangerous area on the court there, but we're able to get the ball out nicely and probably pick apart the spacing on that last pass there before the goal if you really wanted to, but nonetheless, goal for Brazil.
So Le Guin into the game, or sorry, into inbounds for Team France, while Souza gets looked at by one of the Brazilian staff members, and he's all set to go. Morel with the ball over to Ivernat. He finds a bit of room left side. Hit by Souza, gets away though, cuts back to the right. Back down the center. DeLima won't even try to stop him. He realizes he better get in position for a transition. Souza. A little bit of room right side, finds DeLima. Long pass up ahead to Hoffman. Nice move by Hoffman. Good hands, Hoffman, to reel that one in. Passes to DeLima now. He's covered by Le Guin and Morel. Shovel pass to Souza, right side. Waiting for his teammates to get free. Now they got a 3-on-2, Brazil. And DeLima, the fourth player, the trailer, sneaks in left side. Nice pass by Souza.
Yeah, nice goal by Brazil there. And as you pointed out, really good job by Hoffman to control the defender's chair and then still put himself in a position to track down that long pass that came to him.
And back comes Ivernat. He'll use a number 1 Valentin as a screen and cross the right side. 41-26 now, 43 seconds to go in the third quarter. Trouble finding someone. Souza was free. That pass maybe a little bit too far for him to reach.
Yeah, he just overthrew him a little bit, and the 10-second count expired. And I'm sure we'll see the French squad try and take as much time off the clock here before they score what will probably be the final goal of this quarter.
Just a reminder, Frosty, that you reminded me earlier, it's a little bit different than I'm used to in basketball, in that the 10-second count stops when the player receives the ball, not when the player passes the ball. So
that's right.
Since no one received it, the 10 seconds expired. Big advantage for France because they get it in Brazil's end.
Yeah.
And they will work the clock as we come down to just under 30 seconds left on the game clock, third quarter. Ivernat. Gonçalves back in, and DeBroche, so the Brazil starters are back in the game. De Souza in there along with Camargo as well. They'll try to force Ivernat over the line to give themselves some time, and they do have 8.6 seconds.
Yeah, that is enough time to score for with the speed that's out there for Brazil. Going to have to move the ball though.
DeLima, nice pass up ahead to Gonçalves. And he just runs out of real estate at the buzzer. And this is the, well, that was DeBroche, I should say, not DeLima. And I was kind of excited there because I thought, finally, they got Gonçalves and DeLima together. But no. It's DeBroche.
Yeah.
My apologies. It was wishful thinking on my part. We talked about that, Frosty.
Yeah.
The Brazilian lineups. So So at the third quarter break with the lead 42-26 for France, I'll take an opportunity here to thank our corporate sponsors, Vesco, who make rugby chairs and day chairs and lots of other equipment around that. A lot of athletes here sponsored by Vesco. Moulton, of course, the one and only maker of the official wheelchair rugby ball. And you can see it on Sousa's lap right there, specially made for wheelchair rugby. They also make balls for other sports in the Paralympics and Olympics. House Lager by Craft Beer Works in Vancouver area. And our accommodation sponsor is the Marriott Vancouver Airport Hotel. I had probably the second best sleep in my life last night at the Marriott, just like a rock. And this morning, outstanding breakfast and coffee at the Sheraton Vancouver Airport Hotel, who are hosting the teams and providing the meals. Province of BC, of course, the Government of Canada, Sport Canada, Richmond Sport hosting, and the Richmond Olympic Oval. And our sport organizational bodies are Wheelchair Rugby Canada, BC Wheelchair Sports Association, and the International Wheelchair Rugby Federation. And taking a look at the schedule, Frosty, looking ahead here at, right now we've got Germany, Colombia in the other court. Looks like Germany's up 39-35 at this point. We'll see at noon today be the feature match on cbcsports.ca, Canada versus Sweden. That'll be a lot of fun. 4 o'clock, Switzerland and France, and at 6 o'clock, Canada back on the court against the aforementioned Team Germany. Back to the live action, fourth quarter. DeBrash now, Brazil with their starters back in the game. Got Gonçalves, nice pass, beautiful lead pass to Gonçalves, and Brazil strikes early. Some new players in the team for France, number 7, Jarlin, or number 5, Jarlin, I should say. He's hit hard by Gonçalves, gets the ball up to Verdun. Chalmin in the game, number 4, setting screens. Ball goes back to Jarlin, over the top to Verdun, and Team France on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. Gonçalves now, tracked down by Valentin. Gets the pass over top to Camargo. Camargo, nice pass over the top to DeBrash, and Brazil doing a nice job of getting the ball up and over the French defenders.
Yeah, well executed pass there, and I'm sure the goal for Brazil in this quarter is to try to win the last quarter. I mean, unlikely that they'll come back in this game now. French is into energy management mode, I would say, so no reason that the Brazilian squad can't win this quarter.
Saligi and Ibernau on the bench getting a well-deserved rest for Team France. Meanwhile, Jarlin, number 5, with the ball. He's trapped in the corner by Camargo. Gets it to Verdun in the middle. He's tracked down by Gonçalves and Camargo. The French being pressured a long way from the try line. Big hit by DeBrash on Verdun. Jarlin with the ball. Clock winding down. Pass over top to Verdun. And he made a quick touch pass to number 4, Chalmin, and unfortunately hit him in the head and went out of bounds. So a nice defense by Brazil. Chalmin not quite ready for that.
Yeah, nice pressure by the deep Brazilian defense there to sort of take most of the shot clock away from the French team and force a quick decision by the French player, and resulted in a turnover. And as we just saw, unfortunately,
the gift was returned.
Favor was returned, yes.
Gonçalves there, an errant pass picked off by, I think that was number 5, Rodolphe Jarlin. Here comes DeBrash. He slows down, up ahead to Camargo. What a grab by Camargo. He's having a strong tournament. Double team, gets it back to Gonçalves, to DeBrash. Those long arms of Jarlin in there. DeBrash gets away, and will score easily left side as the French defense extends.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that Camargo is having a strong game for the Brazilian team. Stuck out in my mind a few times this morning.
Back comes Jarlin for Team France. He's got to get the ball over center. France still has a couple of those on-court timeouts, though. Don't need it, as Verdun will be wide open. Sebastien Verdun with glass 3. Waits for his team to get set up for transition, and then crosses the line.
Yeah, Brazil really needs to pressure offense a little bit more there and force them to score faster. Can't just let them sit there and kill as much time as they want.
For Brash, he's got a bit of room left side. He's also got Gonçalves. Lead pass. That time the pass was perfectly on target, and Gonçalves wheels onto it easily. We're just approaching the 5-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. France up by 15, 45-30. Deep in their own zone, Jarlin finds Valentin. He'll get up some speed, but is tracked down by Gonçalves. Verdun was wide open, but no pass. This time, Jarlin takes it from his players to avoid the trap.
Looks like he took it from defense a little bit there as well.
And then passes over top to Verdun.
Maybe
Good job by Brazil to trap the shorter player.
Yeah.
Nice teamwork by France.
Yeah, it looked like he might have taken a glove hand in the face there. Strategic timeout by the French coach here. Must see something he wants to work on, letting his players know.
So 46-30, France with a rather comfortable lead here. As you can see, 4:53 left. Over in the other game, Frosty, it looks like Germany up on Colombia going into the start of the fourth quarter by 4, 41-37.
Yeah, and seems that it would be Germany's game to lose with that spread. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that as our game winds down.
So Germany really looking to move up to 3-1. And if they do, they'll put themselves in a good position to make the top 4 and have a shot at getting to Tokyo.
And I guess that will make the Colombians 1-4.
1-3.
1-3. Okay.
So they'll be in tough to.
They'll be in must-win situation moving forward. Yeah.
Here comes Gonçalves now, left side, follows Camargo, and Camargo won't show up on the score sheet there. Gonçalves will, but it was basically all Camargo that was responsible for that try.
Yep. Great job. That's another good play by him.
Jarlin with the ball. He's pushed by Gonçalves, spins away. Deep in his own zone, time running down. Long pass picked off by Camargo almost, but Verdun instead comes up with it. Nearly a good defensive play by Brazil.
Yeah, well, I think that was a good example of one of the things that we coach is, stop the first chair that you come to. Don't try and wheel by that player just to get to the ball. And, it was unfortunate that Brazil weren't able to intercept that long pass.
So the Brazilians having a little bit of difficulty getting out of their own end, but that ball was tipped out of bounds by the French player, Jarlin. And Brazil will get a throw in deep in the corner, and that's a tough spot, Frosty, as you pointed out in the pass.
Yeah.
De Brash looking for some room, spins away from Jarlin. He's got Gonçalves streaking down the left side, back door, and that'll do it. As Gonçalves gets the try. Chalmin looking for the receiver, has to run the baseline a little bit. He's got Jarlin deep. De Brash with a big hit. The ball popped up, but Verdun is Johnny on the spot to pick that one up.
Yeah, nice anticipation there. If he'd been a touch faster, he might have been able to intercept that pass.
Verdun very smart here, staying wide and then cutting across onto the ball. A good use of angles by Verdun. Gonçalves is trapped in his own zone. He gets away. He sees number 2, De Souza. That pass a little bit too far in the front. And, he got lucky there as Valentin went over the line.
Yeah, probably wanted to hang on to the ball there. I think he had enough time to continue to wheel over half and really rush the pass.
Well, Valentin, a bit of a lazy move there as he crossed the line, and
Yeah.
now will sit in the penalty box. He was the last one to touch the ball, so it was going to be Brazil ball anyway. Brazil will get a throw in deep in the French end. A little delay was for a bit of equipment in the back court, and now we're ready to go. DeBroche will inbound for Team Brazil.
Yeah, well, that loss of focus isn't really going to cost France in this game, but, you know, when the score's closer, obviously you can't afford to make plays like that.
Camargo being double teamed. He's got a couple players open, but ball tipped by Verdun. That's a big blow to Team Brazil as they're on the power play. Lose the ball.
Yeah, you really need to put yourself in a different position to get that ball from your 1-5 there. He's never going to pass the ball through those two tall French players who are swarmed all around him.
Camargo is having an outstanding game, but unfortunately that time double teamed by a couple of taller players who also have more balance, so he's in tough.
Yeah.
DeBroche now finds Gonçalves. He's got some space, long pass up ahead to Camargo. Reels that one in easily and crosses the line. Throws the ball to the referee and misses. Referee, a good sport, going to get it.
So it looks like the Germans have opened up a 6-goal lead at the moment over on court 2.
So France, Valentin to inbound. He's got Jarlin. Jarlin's got long arms. Give and go back to Valentin. He's hit by Camargo. Camargo reaches in, lucky not to get a penalty there. Here comes Valentin now right side. Long pass up to Verdun. Well done by Valentin.
Yeah, it's a well-executed pass there.
Camargo is trapped deep in the court, so he'll declare himself as the inbounder and head down. We've got an equipment timeout on the court. Loose axle. Sometimes those aren't great axles for us. They're a little button on there for quick release, but sometimes they get popped during play by someone else's chair contact.
Yeah, well, you want your you want to make sure your axle's all the way in, so your wheel's not coming off on you while you're accelerating up the court.
Well, and I hope we get a look at that one, because Camargo just with a terrific play to tip that pass back to Gonçalves, and that was all set up by a huge hit in the backcourt by DeBroche. Gonçalves able to roll across the line unscathed. A spark for Brazil, even though they're down 50-34, just over 2.5 to go in the game. Here comes Valentin. He's got quite a bit of playing time this fourth quarter. We just heard a flat tire there. Valentin. Now, why did they call the timeout for the equipment that time, Frosty? Give the folks at home a bit of a rule clarification.
Well, the player that has the equipment issue has to ask the referee for the timeout. So the French player did ask the referee for equipment, so they granted it to him. The only time the referees won't grant you an equipment timeout is if you're on defense and the other team is trying to score. They will obviously allow advantage there.
You can't stick a needle in your tire to grab the advantage.
Yes, or I'm sure people would be doing it.
Oh, yeah. Just kidding, folks. Jarlin with the ball, trapped deep. Valentin receives a pass. He's triple teamed. DeBroche puts the pressure on him. Verdun, though, has got some room right side. And away he'll go, and he'll delay momentarily while his team gets set up. Gonçalves doesn't like that delay, though, so pushes him over the line to force the try.
Just good habits for future games. You obviously don't want to allow teams to stall against you when games are tighter.
DeBroche, he spins away from Valentin. He's got Camargo with him. Nice pass up ahead, and Camargo comes from the wide right across the center to pick that one up. Well done by Camargo. He's my player of the game.
Yeah, mine too. And a nice subtle play there by the Brazilian 3-5 to actually angle his chair towards us to create a nice passing lane rather than attacking straight up the court.
So Jarlan gets it to Verdun. He's trying to beat DeBrache, but he can't, and forced to call the on-court timeout. Luckily, France has 2 of them left.
They
one
take it
now, of course, yes.
They're quick to take that off the board. I looked up and there was only one up there. Like, they're out. But
the scorekeepers here are absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, no clock issues at all this week. So great job by all of our volunteers.
Nadine Barbassan and Marnie Abbott-Peter on the score table for this game, and a couple of veteran scorers doing a great job. Here's Verdun now. He's got some good minutes in this game. And the wheels kind of fall off for Verdun, but he gets it up to Jarlan anyway, who dishes it to Valentin for the try.
Must have been a bit of an axle issue there, as we've mentioned before, but with the safety wheels on the back, it stops you from tipping over, so not too dangerous.
Yeah. All the chairs, of course, having and there we saw the hit and the wheel falling off. Here comes Gonsalves, just over a minute to go, dumps it over the top to Camargo. Another pass over the top to DeBrache, and Team Brazil will use some time here and practice that clock management.
It's funny to remember back in when we first started and played in our everyday chairs that if you had anti-tippers, we thought you were soft.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And however, you did learn how to fall quite effectively. I never forget being taught at my first practice, keep your chin tucked in when you go over backwards.
Yeah. Well, second possession in a row, I do believe that the Brazilian team has forced France to use a timeout, so small victories there.
So De Souza, number 2 in the game defensively for Brazil, and Brazil doing a good job on defense, forcing 2 of those timeouts right in a row, so a bit of a moral victory for Team Brazil here. Jarlan quickly relays that inbound pass to Verdun. He goes one-on-one against Gonsalves, turns back, takes a look at the clock. Passes inside to number 5, Jarlan, and the Brazilian player, I believe, crossed the end line, Frosty.
Yeah, he went out of bounds, and because the French player was pointing away from the goal and not moving towards it, he's got to spend the last 34 seconds or less of this game in the penalty box.
So 52-36, France on top here comfortably. They will be probably content to run the clock down and perhaps score with a second or 2 left just for practice.
I would imagine that's what we'll see.
Jarlan has doubled, manages the ball quite well, able to dribble, gets the ball inside to Verdun.
Nice job by the French team here to tie up Brazil's number 1 and really make it difficult for them to create turnovers with a man in the box.
A good job by Brazil to free themselves, though, and force the French player Verdun over the line, giving themselves 8.4 seconds. Frosty, not bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, 8.4 seconds is possible to score, but you're not going to do it if you're sitting still and catching the ball. Looking at the person, you've got to really make a lead pass there, and that's a set play that, you know, not a high percentage of being successful, but something you should be working on, because if it's a 1-goal game, obviously it's an important play.
Absolutely, 8 seconds is an eternity in wheelchair rugby when it comes to scoring a try for many of the top teams, at least. We saw one yesterday by Sweden. I think it was 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds. And, you know, when you get into the some of the other teams that are going to be at the Paralympics, like particularly Australia, 8 seconds is an eternity for some of those players to get up the court, and you need to be a little bit finer with your last goals.
Well, my players of the game, Camargo for number 3 for Brazil, and I thought 21, Jonathan Ivernat for France. What's your opinion on that game, Frosty?
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I mean, we've noted out the gaps in Brazil's performance several times. A bit of a rough start, some effective pressure with their top line early in the game, but once Brazil gets into their bench, they're just not at the same level as this French team top to bottom. And good job by the French team. Definitely showed they were the better team this morning, and I think have now guaranteed that they will be playing on Sunday against somebody and giving themselves an opportunity to play in Tokyo.
So Germany, looks like Germany will handily defeat Colombia over there right now. I think it's 54-46, so they will move up the standings. France will go to 4-0. Brazil here will drop to 0-4. And when we're taking a look at some of the highlights from that fourth quarter, France put on their bench, and the bench played quite well, actually, despite the fact that I thought Brazil really did a good job on defense, but France managing to weather that storm.
Yeah,
their bench players.
Yeah, totally agree. Not a lot of drop-off when they went to their non-starters, we'll call them.
We just saw that nice tip play with the back of his hand by Camargo. So looking ahead, Frosty, at 12 o'clock today, our feature match on cbcsports.ca. It'll also be in the Canadian Paralympic Committee Facebook page with enhanced coverage by Benoit Huot. It'll be Canada against Sweden. And at 4 o'clock, we'll see Switzerland facing off against France. So France will have lunch and take a rest and be back on the court against Switzerland. Today is Switzerland's one-game day, so they'll be quite fresh. And then Canada against Germany at 6 o'clock. Again, that one will be on cbcsports.ca. I'm Tim Frick alongside Adam Frost for SportsCanada.tv at the 2020 Paralympic Qualification Tournament. We'll see you at noon.